Want to welcome in Ross Chastain now. He's your 2025 Coke 600 winner. We're going back to Charlotte, and it's got to be a special place for you. The team's close to there, but you're going there with a fresh, good memory.
That's right. Although it probably couldn't be more of a different racetrack for it to be the same address, on the map. It's definitely something that the Roval versus the Oval, completely different mindset. But yes, just driving in the track, going over there, the memories are fresh from winning the 600.
Yeah, no, of course, it's so different, and a lot has been said about your teammates and how they've done well at road courses, but I think it's forgotten that you can win at road courses as well. Of course, we saw that gutty win there, Coda in 2022. How's your confidence right now going into this race weekend where you really need a good run?
It's high. I know that Trackhouse is building race-winning cars on these road courses. They're building them at a couple different tracks, and we've had chances to win and run up front this year. So, yeah, I feel like I've got the best coach and teammate, teacher that I could have with Shane, and I'm trying to close that gap to him. It's been a labor of love, I'll say that, trying to see what he's done, and how he manipulates these race cars. So I've got all the secrets. Just executing it is definitely harder than seeing it like on the screen.
Sure. And as he's helped you with, road courses, have you helped him with these mile-and-a-half tracks at all? Because it seems like overall Trackhouse is kind of trending up here the last few weeks.
Yeah, we work together well, and knowing we're going to work together into the future makes it a whole lot easier. Knowing that we're in this together, so we've got 38 races a year to try to put our two cars as far forward. And the day that you know, we're racing for the win week after week for maybe a month straight, then maybe we might, splinter off from each other. But no, it's until we get there on all tracks. It's been great. And Shane's older, so he's in his late 30s, so he's more mature than me, and definitely brings a lot to the table for us.
Hey, that's all right. Being less mature is more fun. Talking about your teammates a little bit, then we'll go back to you. Just segueing into next year, have you been able to talk to Connor at all and how that onboarding process is going to be? Because it's only going to make your team more competitive.
Yeah, we have. We've known Connor. He's been in the Chevy program for several years now. So watched him. We're active. We're currently watching him grow up in front of all of us. So he's focused on his Xfinity car right now, but we know, and he's watching us on the Cup side, and then he's maybe a little couch racing where he probably thinks he would do everything better that we all do wrong. So he'll get to experience it next year.
Yeah, well, it's going to be fun for fans and for everybody to watch that. But let's talk about this year. We're closing out the round of 12. It's annoying to talk about points and things like that, but qualifying has to be a especially big deal this weekend because if you qualify up front, you can chase those stage points, needing 13 to tie there for eighth place and to advance. But if for whatever reason qualifying doesn't go the way you want, is the mindset more so you're flipping the stage, or is that just something you have to wait and see?
That is why I love sitting in the race car, and Phil Surgeon is sitting on top of the pit box. So the group at Trackhouse and GM, where I'm currently in the Chevy building here in Concord, it's that's up to them. I give my opinion. I give my opinion of the race car, how fast I think we are. Is our speed reflective of where we're currently running, or do I think I can do better if I slot it up further ahead? So yeah, a lot of emphasis on qualifying and making lap time, and then up to them in the race.
And this is your third time in the playoffs now, 2022, 2023. You've had some memorable moments. Does this feel any different now that you've got more experience under this pressure?
It does. Yeah. I mean, there's just, as humans, I think that we learn and we remember, and so we that plays into the next time we get to do it. So yeah, I think that for sure. And that's why I think you see guys really succeeding that have done this a long time. I think when you come into the sport, though, there's a rule in the garage of you got to give a driver about 100 races, 3 years worth of races to really learn these cars and how the Cup Series works. And some do it quicker, and some it takes longer. So I think the 100 number is a safe bet. And then playoff wise, speed kind of cures everything. If you're fast, you're going to get more points, more stage points, and move yourself through the rounds.
Yeah, hey, winning and doing well cures all. This weekend, from a fan perspective, do you think this could set up to be one of the more aggressive races of the season? Not just because it's a playoff cutoff race, but because cars are usually not spread out at the Roval. There's a lot of time where you can get in corners and move people around.
Sure. Yeah, there's always a lot of contact, and with our current Cup car, our seventh generation car, they're tough. And you see drivers taking advantage of that, and I'm not immune to that. So I've taken advantage of it as well and been taken advantage of. So a lot of contact. The cars don't show the hits we're taking. If this was the old Cup car of 21 and past, or the current Xfinity or truck, it would be folding the fenders and noses and tails up. But Cup cars are tough. Got foam right. We have thick foam right behind the bumper, so that absorbs a lot of the impact and holds the body panels in place. So it might feel massive to the driver, and the car looks fine.
Right. Well, looking ahead here, of course, we wish you the best of luck this weekend, but there's a lot of chatter about playoff format change and things like that, and these people that are deciding whatever's going to happen in the future. Do you have any opinion on it whatsoever? Do you enjoy the excitement of saying, "Hey, I made the playoffs," and you get these fun races? We have a chance to go and show how much your team has improved through the season, or do you like that more traditional format that we grew up watching of the whole season, or maybe a mix between the two?
All I ask from NASCAR is to send me the schedule and the rule book ahead of the season, and then I'll figure it out from there. So in the rule book will be the rules for the point system, and the schedule will have where to go and when to be there. So no, I don't. I don't get in the weeds on that. I don't really have an opinion. I don't understand the sport from enough angles to truly know what goes into all this. So I'm viewing it from originally a fan and now a driver. But there's so much to the business side and what this industry is that I can't comprehend. So way over my head, and just tell me when to be there and what the rules are.
Hey, a true racer's answer. Got to appreciate that. And last question here. Watermelon season. It's wrapping up here in the South, but you got to have one coming to the track this weekend, right?
That's right. We're harvesting in South Georgia, so the watermelon season works its way north and then back south in the fall. So in the spring, it's headed north as everything warms up, and then as it starts to cool off, we're working our way back south. So we're harvesting out of Cordele, Georgia right now, Araby, around that area. So yeah, it's we've got Florida watermelons on the way after that. So watermelon season is year round these days. It's something we're really proud of, that we can grow and sell watermelons year round now. Cool to be a part of the ag industry, and very small part for us in watermelons. But yep, I'll be eating watermelons Christmas morning. I know that.
Well, there's a quote for you. Yeah, fun racetrack out in Cordele as well. We're based out of Savannah, and definitely appreciate agriculture for the state and everything like that. And folks like you that are good, I guess, advertiser, and you live it, also appreciated. So I've got family that farms ethanol corn up in northern Iowa. So anybody that can speak for farmers and races, it's just a little bit more fun as well. So Ross, we appreciate it. Good luck this weekend. Hope we get to see you in the round of 8.
All right, we're gonna try.
Appreciate Ross for his time. Switching gears now, bringing in Tyler from Echo Park Speedway, a much different kind of racetrack than the Roval. And we were just talking earlier this week about Ross's chance having to point himself in. Obviously, being the first guy out, he has the best chance to do so, but some challenges are in front of him.
Oh, certainly. I mean, you look at Ross Chastain's speed overall this year, it's been inconsistent. And, the Roval's not a place that I necessarily mark Ross Chastain as one of my favorites to go run top 5 all day and, score a bunch of points. And that's probably what it's going to take with the gap that he has to some of the people in front of him, unless they run into absolute disaster. But that being said, he's got quite the resource to try to lean on within his shop, that being Shane Van Gisbergen, who's probably going to be the biggest roadblock to any of those guys on the wrong side of the cut line winning their way into the next round, because he's probably going to be the car to beat. But nonetheless, that's something that I would have to think that that Trackhouse organization is going to be, making good work of, is getting those two talking to each other and really trying to elevate Ross Chastain's game going into this weekend and really put the pressure on a couple guys in front of him who, don't necessarily shine at the Roval themselves, that being Joey Logano and to a lesser extent Chase Briscoe, who's got a little bit more of an edge.
Yeah, 100%. And then you even look at Byron, he's 40 up, so he's probably just needing to get a good run the first stage or two. And then if he has a bad finish, it's not the worst, but seeing him 6 is kind of a head scratcher to some, considering, how he started the year out.
Yeah, well, they, did not have the day that they were expecting from themselves at Kansas Speedway, which is, only highlighted even more by, two of his teammates running up in the top 5 or just outside of it throughout the race, that being Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. And then obviously Chase Elliott taking advantage of the way that final overtime unfolded to punch his way into the round of 8 and not have to sweat the Roval at all, even though the Roval's been his playground at times. So what a finish that was. I mean, boy, we got to talk about that, right?
Oh yeah, we got to go back and talk about that because 5 Toyotas ahead of the lead, the rest of the pack. And man, if you bet money on that was an interesting time.
That would be a bad beat if you had, Toyota to win and you went into
100%.
that final lap with the top 5 spots locked out and you don't end up cashing out on that one. But yeah, I mean, really, really aggressive racing from Bubba Wallace and, close quarters with Christopher Bell coming to the white flag. They got really close together and it looked like it got Christopher Bell aerotight, sort of shuffled him out of the mix, and that opened the door for Denny Hamlin, who had dominated the day, to close back in and make a run on the back straightaway. And then they go into turn 3 and both of them sent it into the corner, and neither one of them really came out of the corner with much momentum, and that opened the door for Chase Elliott to knock his way through and take the win.
There's been a question a lot of people have been asking Denny a lot the last couple of years, especially at the tracks and at the media days and things like that. And it's, well, what would you do if you're racing one of your cars and you need a win? Well, I think that question's been answered. Now, I guess people will say, well, would you do it again? And I think his answer would be yes, because if you've heard him talk after the race, it's like, Joe Gibbs pays the 11 team a lot to race. They get paid a lot to go and try to win races. So to step down and not go 100%, you just can't have that. And then you had people that would cry race manipulation and X, Y, and Z. So of course he's going to go out there and try to win the race, and you can't blame him for it.
You definitely have to give credit to the fact that there's no doubt at this moment, how he'll race anybody, because the way that he raced the 23 of Bubba Wallace, the car that he is part owner of, as a part owner of 2311 Racing, is absolutely the same way that he would have raced anybody else in the field. There's no doubt about that. So credit to him for that. I will say, as I've been listening to Denny Hamlin talk through, the split-second decision-making that went into that and, how he ended up going up the hill so much, and then other people talking about this, I do want to be at least one person who says there's not 2 choices in this whole matter as far as, either race the 23 and have the outcome that you had, or lay off and, end up talking about race manipulation. I think that there was a lot of room in between for the 11 to go into that corner and race the 23 for the win and maybe even still prevail without necessarily both cars going up the racetrack. That being said, that's also a lot easier to say, Monday morning, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, driver coaching rather than in the moment going 190 miles an hour for the win and trying to judge where the right point to lift off and turn in is. So, I think everybody's, been talking about it as though there's only the 2 choices. And the reality is that, as a race car driver, there's many, many different ways that you can approach a corner and try to position yourself to run that corner the best and complete a pass. I don't think that the way that Denny Hamlin went into the corner was the only option, but it was definitely, as he said, what he thought was the best way to try to complete that pass. And, you don't know until after the fact that that didn't turn out to be correct.
Yep, sure. And I get that. And I'm sure that's what he wishes would have happened, right? You don't want to see somebody from a different manufacturing team drive right on past you. But on the flip side of that, you've got a lot of happy Chase Elliott fans. He won at Texas earlier or this year or last year, 2 years ago. Wow, I'm dating myself. Atlanta, of course, you guys had that such emotional victory. And it's going to be memorable for me seeing that celebration on on the front stretch in victory lane. But man, from that to just kind of a surprise win, it's pretty crazy. And I know a lot of Chase fans are pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and that's that team, if you look at any chatter on social media, there's been a lot of, opportunities for criticism seized as far as, individual choices made and did this win or lose the race and whatnot. And I think that was starting to fire up with the choices that were made on the last sequence of pit stops, where a lot of people took 2 tires, opted for track position versus 4 tires and some pressure rubber on both sides of the car. But ultimately, that all got rendered moot because, you could argue, especially that, the 9 car had some extra grip to be able to carve through the field in those final 2 laps and position itself to, take this win away the way that they did. So instead of talking about, hey, what could have been, they sneak out there with a win that nobody really saw coming in the final stages of that race, and now get to focus on Las Vegas, Talladega, and Martinsville to try to make their way into Phoenix.
Yeah, and pretty quiet there in the Twitterverse. A lot of fans have been going after his crew chief, and man, little did you know, 4 tires got it done. So I know that NASCAR is also probably pretty happy to have Chase in the next round as well. So it's going to be pretty exciting. Roval wise, AJ, the last 3 races, he's got 3 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a win being one of those. So he could play spoiler as well. SVG led 21 laps last time, finished 7th, and could have even done a little bit better than that. So you have to look at those guys to play spoiler to folks that are on the bubble needing maybe a spoiler to help you point in if they themselves are not going to win.
Yeah, and looking at the drivers that are below the cut line, Ross Chastain can point his way in. Mathematically, Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick can, but practically, we think that they're in must-win situations. And then Austin Cindric, 48 points back, all but certainly has to win this race if he's going to see the round of 8. Looking at those 4, especially with the obstacle of both Shane Van Gisbergen and AJ Allmendinger, who, has also, as you mentioned, had so much success at the Roval, not only in the Cup Series, but in the Xfinity Series. Every time he enters there, you can just start to etch his name into the trophy, it seems like. Looking at these 4, though, Austin Cindric came into this series as, a bit of a road course ace with his background and had a lot of success in the lower series, but I haven't really seen that translate to Cup. And Tyler Reddick is a really strong road course racer, but haven't seen that so much this year. And really over his career at the Roval, haven't seen it quite that strong. I think if I had to pick one of the bottom 4 that was going to win their way through, though, I think it'd be Tyler Reddick. But boy, I would not be holding my breath for it. I don't know if there's anybody that you look at and say, I think they could surprise and win this race without some special, heartburn turn, circumstances happening.
Yeah, good reference there. Yeah, I mean, Reddick definitely has the most capabilities, I would say, versus maybe Ross in this situation. But just seeing how the team itself has the distractions seems like things just kind of falter through the race. Something every weekend goes wrong. And of course, Reddick has some off-track stuff too, which of course you want to take into account and hope everything goes well. But I think that this could be a good motivation too. Get him out there. No better feeling than winning a race to help out the family. So I think he's got the best chance of the 4. Joey is very hit and miss as well. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect with him. That's, I guess, why we watch and why it's exciting. But I'm just kind of surprised with how far down his average is the last few races here. And Denny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs, people are talking about him. It'd be fun to see him win. He's not showing a bunch of speed either, but Joey's averaging about a 10th place finish, which probably would be good enough, as long as you get some stage points mixed in there as well, even if it's 8th or 9th. So I think Joey's good, but any mess up, and we see how crazy those restarts can be, opens the door very quickly.
Something like a speeding penalty or, a loose tire or just anything like that, even if it happens early in the race, but it costs you an opportunity to, decline to flip the stage, stay on the track and, gobble up 6 or 7 points right there and limit how much anybody else can gain on you. And any of those sort of errors could loom very large at any point that they happen in the race, let alone if it's towards the end and takes you from, like you said, a solid top 10 finish to something in the mid-20s. I mean, that would really open the door for somebody to bust through.
Yeah.
Before we move on, you alluded to it. I definitely want to, and I'm sure you would too, just extend well wishes to the Reddick family with everything that was documented this weekend as far as what's happening with their youngest child, and hoping for the best there. And if nothing else, I hope that he can go into this weekend with some sort of good news on that front, and some sort of easing of stress on that, because that is absolutely got to be top of mind and the highest priority in his life without a doubt. And I just hope everything goes well there.
Yeah, definitely want to echo that. There's nothing more important than family. We sit here and we have fun and we talk about racing and stats and predictions and all that, but family comes first. And of course, we wish them all well and hope, for them, they can have a good run this weekend too. So that would be a cherry on top. I think we could get into our picks, because I'm not going to take SVG this week.
No.
Because we got to change it up for one, and for two, it's fine. It's fine if you do, but I think we at least have to make the case for AJ Allmendinger as well. Averaging a 3.7 place finish. Obviously, he doesn't care about stage points, so if flipping a stage gives him a better chance to win at the end, so be it. But also, just talking with SVG at Playoff Media Day, he didn't seem as confident in the Roval as he did other places. I think he actually kind of was getting not annoyed, but like, oh, can you guys start asking about something else? And then shows up and has a good run last week, right? Like, if he finds some consistency, people are in trouble. But just my gut feeling that I don't really have a reasoning for was, he, out of all the road courses we go to, this one he seemed maybe the least comfortable with. So with that, I would take AJ with more experience and somebody who's already got the win.
Yeah, I like that pick. I mean, I think all year long there's been a bit of a, okay, SVG, he was brought here to win some road course races, but hey, AJ Allmendinger, he's also been the road course ringer. Can he bring the fight to SVG? And he's had some solid runs, but really hasn't been in the mix to win one. If we're going to see, that dynamic actually show up, the Roval, I think, is the place where it would show up. And to your point, he's got the experience running this car on this track, has the success running this car on this track, and I think can start from a little bit of a head start on Shane Van Gisbergen, and this being a very not traditional road course at all. I'm sure that there's skills and some similarities that'll overlap with SVG's vast experience racing V8 supercars in the past, and obviously this car now in North America, but AJ has that direct experience. So I like the AJ pick. That being said, I don't want to pick AJ too, and I can't in good conscience pick anybody else besides SVG. I think those are the two drivers and two teams that are best set up to win this race, between the skill sets of their drivers and the circumstances that they come into this race in, where they can just chase the win. They can do everything that they need to do to optimize their race finish, versus needing to chase points and, shore up that situation that some of the other top contenders will probably find themselves doing.
Yeah, I think that's fun. I think those are good picks for both of us. They're solid, but then life happens, and then what really happens on the track? Do we have to consider somebody else, or does somebody pull a desperation move like we said? But I think you can't flip a stage and do a desperate move to win the race unless you have a good enough car. So I think with this track specifically, it's going to be so hard to tell beforehand who we think can do that. But also the chrome horn could come out, and we know Ross can be aggressive. So I think that he's also obviously got a chance. Every driver's going to go in thinking they can win a race, or else you don't get in the car. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Is Ross your dark horse?
You know what? I might as well go and do it. I wanted to pick Reddick because I feel for him. But I'm gonna go with Ross because he's kind of been quiet, but I think SVG helps him. What I want to see is the scenario where SVG's winning, Ross is second. Ross didn't get enough points in the first couple stages, and then they have to figure out if Ross is gonna pass him to move on to the next stage. I don't
and you talk about the chrome horn. I mean, if we end up with an overtime situation, that definitely opens the door for, even people several rows back to affect the people in front of them going into that tight first turn. So that would definitely be interesting to see.
And then you go back to you go to the Chicago street race and you see Zilich and SVG racing kind of tough. So it's kind of fair game, that's how I see it. He's such a nice guy, but your eyes get big when the checkered flag's in front of you. So
Well,
I
especially
think
with the added stakes.
sure, it'd be okay to rough up your teammate a little bit.
Maybe not okay, but a conversation that you're willing to have if you get the outcome that you want.
Sure.
Well, I'm glad I pressured you into picking Ross there, because I also wanted to pick Tyler Reddick as the dark horse, because I do think that of those bottom four, he's got the most road racing pedigree, and with his point situation is probably going to be in a spot where realistically they should just flip the stages and see if they can put themselves in a spot to win. Whereas Ross probably should chase points. So if he's going to come up and win there, he's going to have to pass a bunch of cars, I suspect, in that final stage to do it.
Yeah, we also have to see how they qualify, because if one of these guys qualifies in the top five, you chase the points, right? But if you're qualifying 20th, then it's, all right, yeah, why wouldn't you come with 2 laps to go? So it'll be interesting too.
Well, that's a good point too, because I say, hey, Tyler Reddick, needs to chase the win, but if I would be a little bit surprised if Chase Briscoe did, but say Joey Logano goes out there and has a bobble in qualifying, and now he's starting 30th or something. Now you got to kind of look at it, especially if he qualifies like in the top 3, and say, okay, now the 22 probably isn't getting any stage points in this first one, and we'll see how the second stage goes. But maybe I do need to gobble up 8, 9, 10 points a couple times here and make it so that I've got a puncher's chance if the 22 is only able to have an average day.
Right. So we get to speculate, of course, recording these during the middle of the week, and it just makes it more fun because we get to catch up and see what we were right and wrong about in this unpredictable sport that is so much fun. Well, Tyler, I appreciate your time once again. I know we'll probably be chatting a little bit around race time, and hope everything is well with the family, and we get to talk again next week.